And WENY Political Analyst Dr. Jim Twombly joining us in studio, looking ahead at what we might be able to expect politically for 2023. 2022, you could call it a roller coaster, I think would be an understatement. We had a midterm election that defied the prognosticators, a war in Ukraine, the first black woman to serve on the Supreme Court, the overturning of Roe versus Wade, the execution of a search warrant against a former president, and I'm running out of fingers, the investigation into the events leading up to the January 6th insurrection, and so many more. But we've started off the new year with multiple ballots having to be cast to elect a new Speaker of the House after 3 votes. They have now adjourned for their day. They're going to resume on that tomorrow. So, Jim, any bets on if 2023 will be as interesting as 2022 was?
Well, certainly if today is any indication, yes. Every year brings its own version of interesting. But last year certainly had more than a typical share of interesting. I would certainly hope that the war in Ukraine will be ending, but that's not really in our hands. Only our resolve to provide aid is. I have no crystal ball, nor does anyone else who analyzes and interprets politics for voters and TV viewers. But given what we've seen so far this year with just this one day, this could be a very interesting year in politics.
Okay, and I assume you're referring to those multiple ballots cast earlier today to elect the Speaker of the House.
Yes, the inability of the new Republican majority to coalesce around a candidate for Speaker on these early ballots does not paint an encouraging picture for them to be able to come together on policy and legislation. The ongoing story, unless something changes dramatically, will be constant infighting in that majority party in the House at a time when they can ill afford that infighting with their very narrow margin.
Okay, and what about elsewhere in the realm of politics?
Well, I would look at 4 areas in particular. First, with an outright Democratic majority in the Senate, as narrow as it is, we should see more speedily confirmed presidential nominations to the courts and to the federal bureaucracy. Second, there will still be fallout from the announcement by the Democrats that they have changed their schedule of primaries. Though they have moved the New Hampshire primary out of the number 1 position, the New Hampshire Constitution requires them to be first. Third, we are not yet done with the turmoil surrounding the former President Donald Trump, whether it's about January 6th, the documents found at Mar-a-Lago, or the investigations into his business practices. For good or for ill, there will still be investigations underway this year. Fourth, we'll have to see what kind of jockeying takes place in the lead up to the 2024 presidential elections. Does DeSantis get in? Does Biden actually run? Who else might enter the race on either side?
All right, and we certainly have a lot to look forward to this year.
It is, but it certainly doesn't include Supreme Court decisions that might be announced. It doesn't include the ongoing drama at Twitter or what might happen with Congressman George Santos from Long Island.
All right, Jim, thank you so much.
My pleasure.